Why not just go with what people want to see and just Occam's razor, just go straight through it instead of doing all these twists and turns.
Jey Uso and Charlotte Flair won their respective Royal Rumble matches at the 2025 WWE Royal Rumble PLE. Straight off the bat, those two as the winners. Would you have picked either of them? I think Charlotte was a surprise entrant.
No, Charlotte, I think that she was with the vignette, you assumed she was going to make her return at the Royal Rumble. Two different reactions to this. Obviously, there's an internet reaction to Jey Uso, which is like, what can you do? There's a guy that's over, you're saying push him. He wins the Royal Rumble. Now there's some pushback on that. Was he my pick? He was my, just watching somebody really be there for a while and coming from a tag team into their own and them standing out from that point and always being elevated and then being pigeonholed in a way with the main event gimmick. Well, I've spoke about it before. You got to stay up there if you're going to have that gimmick. But Jay managed with the way he can talk, and he has incredible charisma. He can talk. I can tell the difference, though, and we'll get to the Monday Night Raw thing after that. When Jay is talking and when someone's writing for him and it's not his voice. Monday, we'll get into it now, was that. Everything leading up to that was Jay, especially with the Sami Zayn stuff and everything. But getting back to the Rumble, he was definitely somebody that you want to be the non-predictable winner of that Royal Rumble. Everybody assumed it was going to be Cena because this is Cena's retirement tour, which I thought was going to end at WrestleMania, but now people are saying it's the entire year of 2025. Which is it? I mean, that's the confusing part.
Right, so what I thought it was going to be, I thought it was going to be the next WrestleMania, but I think it's the end of this year. It was always going to be like a year-long thing, but it's starting at the Royal Rumble this year and then pretty much, and then ending at the end of this year. I don't think he's going to be at WrestleMania 43, is the answer.
Okay, so that's kind of, I mean, it's going to be great no matter what for Cena. He's a legend and all the stuff he's done for the business, but I thought from the time he announced it that it was going to lead up to WrestleMania, and then we'd get some really interesting twists and turns. With context, what I'm talking about is Jay going over with me thinking that WrestleMania was going to be about Cena. This is a quote from The Rock. The WrestleMania should be about Cena. That's where I got the idea that was his last match. But I'm still thinking what they're going to do is, in their mind, the way they book, Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble. He's over. We have Elimination Chamber. I have a feeling that Jay's going to lose that spot to maybe Cena or somebody else. I assumed, here's the surprise I assumed for the men's Royal Rumble. It would have made it very interesting because Russo and Ben also were talking about this on our other show. Jay's in there at the end. He's 29 or 29 guys, 28 guys, I should say, are thrown out of the ring. But Jay's in there alone. The final boss music hits. Literally the final boss on the Rumble is The Rock. And Rock goes over and you're going to get Rock and Cody one-on-one in that match. That could still kind of happen, but man, Elimination Chamber, it's an absolute shoot. That cage does not forgive. I don't know what The Rock and Hollywood, maybe regular matches, but in this vein, if he's still in the Hollywood kind of bubble with the insurance and everything like that, are they going to allow him to be in that match? Dude, everybody in that match gets hurt to some degree.
I don't think The Rock's going to be there at all. I think he'll be there the year after. But what I wanted to say
You mean like no WrestleMania, no post Rumble leading up to Mania? Like he's not.
I don't think The Rock will be there at all. He might appear at WrestleMania, but I've got a feeling he's just going to be out because there's not really a story for him at the moment. Because Cody, okay, I'm figuring Cody's going to wrestle John Cena. John Cena will win the Elimination Chamber, and Jay will wrestle Gunther for his world title, which brings me to the point I was going to make, is that it's the one good thing about having two world titles. It means that the Royal Rumble is far more wide open now, as far as a winner, because I don't think many people really predicted Jay at all, but then he wins it, and then it makes sense, because then he can then go to Gunther, and he can, main event night 1, and then Cody will main event night 2 against whoever it might be. I suspect it will be John Cena, because I think the theory at the moment is probably going to be CM Punk and Logan Paul, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. There seem to be the big 5 matches announced so far, and then possibly Charlotte and whoever it might be, Tiffany Stratton, I guess. But we'll talk about Charlotte in a minute there. But what do you think specifically of Jey Uso's? I mean, it's been a pretty meteoric rise for him. And even me, I was just like, when you're a twin as well, I mean, that pigeonholes you more than anything else.
It's like the old Killer Bees thing, like the man, these just being in a tag team alone is going to pigeonhole you to break out as a single star. And we kind of see Jimmy trying to find his way, but having a little bit more difficulty finding his voice, character, and everything that Jay got. Actually, when Jimmy was out during that COVID era, Jay was a star. You could see he was a star and all the stuff he did with Roman. I think this is one of those things where what Dutch says, you're talking about a swerve at the Elimination Chamber. Jay wanted, but then he lost at Elimination Chamber. To me, in a Vince McMahon term, that takes the bloom off the rose of the Royal Rumble. That when you win it, you punch your ticket to WrestleMania. So now everybody's going to be like, yeah, you punch your ticket until Elimination Chamber. The 2 world titles, I disagree with you as well, because obviously 2 nights, but they have not elevated Gunther. They haven't done anything with Gunther. Think about it. He was for a while with that IC belt, really, really over with that. At the beginning of the world title, you hoped it would be something where he would be that champion to be on the level of the WWE one. I don't think that is. Let's throw another thing into it as well. Punk wants to be in the main event of one of these nights of WrestleMania. He's obviously politicking to try to wrestle Cody. I don't know if him and Gunther would mesh. Him and Cody's a great story. But do you think Punk's going to win the Elimination Chamber and go on to wrestle Cody? We have a lot of different things that could come out of this. But I stand by my original thought that I still believe one title, one Royal Rumble winner, one path, and one major push to that pay-per-view. And dare I say it, I would put Jay over. Why would you just, like Dutch says, I'll get back to that point. Why not just go with what people want to see and just Occam's razor, just go straight through it instead of doing all these twists and turns?
I'm going to come out with something really controversial now. I
Want to save it for your channel?
never liked. No, I'm not. I'm going to do it right here, baby. I've never liked the the person who wins the Royal Rumble is the number 1 contender for WrestleMania. I think there should be something else on the line because it limits the scope. Not now that we've got 2 world titles, but then I've never liked 2 world titles and pretty much no one else does either. It limits the scope of the amount of people who can win the Royal Rumble. I mean, having 2 world titles opens it up somewhat. But I like the idea that, in the first couple of years, I mean, Big John Studd, but, that was 89 John Studd. He wasn't really, that was a bit of a wet fart of a finish, I think. But, like a Jim Duggan can win it, or the untelevised one where One Man Gang could win it, or Ric Flair was the champion. Sorry, no one was the champion. Was it anybody
No,
the
he
champion
won the championship
at that point?
by winning the Royal Rumble. He won the championship.
He did?
Yeah.
Who was the champion going into it? Hulk Hogan? It must have been, I guess.
It was vacated.
Or the championship was held up.
Vacated, I believe. I'm not sure. Was it vacated after Tuesday in Texas?
I've got a feeling it might have been. Yeah. So, yeah, that's probably where it was. And then Ric Flair ends up winning it, which I love that. But the whole
let me
number
stop
1
you right
contender
there.
thing.
I hate to stop you in mid-thought. Why not put the title on the line of Royal Rumble? And have the champion in the Royal Rumble, and now he's literally defending against 29 other people.
Because then it's unbelievably unfair. But that's never stopped WWE before from putting champions in 6-pack challenges and whatever else it might be. The champion can always be number 30. So they've got a chance, I guess. But
That's a great point. I think there is some room for tweaking and updating. And we're not fans of tired old tropes. Royal Rumble has a great feel and everything to it, but don't you think right now, outside of the surprise entrances, which is or the returns, those are the things that get the biggest reactions. A lot of other people who came out didn't get reactions. And on that point, I know I'm breaking each thing down and splitting hairs. When that happens, that's creative's fault. When you can only predict or guess or assume that 4, maybe 5 people are going to win the Rumble, if not less, that's creative's fault for the whole year of not getting talent over enough so you say, I don't know who's gonna win." And when the champion I love that idea now that I think about it more, when the champion puts the title on the line, but you got 2 world titles. You see how you run into all these roadblocks. So we have to have 2
Yeah.
Royal Rumbles now? It's such a they've painted themselves into quite a bit of corners with some of the ways they book and do things, and then they think they can just, "Well, let's just veer off and let's do a quick left turn," and the fans will understand, but there's gonna come a point where the fans are not gonna understand anymore.